Okay, hello and welcome. I'm here to talk you through a NFL best ball draft simulator that I put together. And this is to be used with DraftKings. So I'll walk you through using one in a contest live, and I'll be using the tool as well. So let's get started with it. So I'm just going to go into a dollar contest here, and I've already uploaded my lineup as I find it to be best. So that's up to you to go find one. I'm going to use some credits here that I've already got for this contest here today, and I'm going to fire it up and jump straight into a contest here. And from there, while it's starting up here, what I want to do is I want to talk about the tool and where to find it, and I'll have a link available as well. So it's under yourteamstats.com, and you'll find the link here, Best Ball Simulator. And this is the same one. I've got it over here. I'll just bring it here too. I had it sized the right way there. And the way the tool works, this section here on the right of the screen, is it will let you. Ooh, I even got lucky and got the first pick. What do I do? What do I do? So I've got a minute and a half before I get started, and this will give me time to talk through a little strategy here that we can use. So if you want to just go ahead and pick your positions manually, you're free to do that, or you can use one of the strategies that are built in here. So if you want to do a power tight end where you're pulling 2 or 3 tight ends very early on, you can do a power running back lineup where you're getting the early running backs in. You could do a power quarterback where you're getting early quarterbacks. That's going to allow you to get some of the ones that are not going to be available in later rounds for you. And or you can go with strategies with a late quarterback, late tight end, late running backs. But I'm going to show you the power of this tool in a moment. I think since I'm going first here, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go with a power running back strategy here. So I'm going to take a few really solid running backs early on, and then I'm going to take it from there and see where it goes. So this strategy basically tells me that I want to pull 2 or 3 running backs early on. As you can see, I've got Chase here as the first wide receiver, which in theory I should take, but since I'm going with this strategy of the power running backs, I'm going to go straight for Barkley. And what this tool is going to let you do now is, with this strategy here, what I could do is now I can run the model. And what it'll do is it'll run 10,000 seasons. Each season is 17 games. And it will project out based on the fantasy points per tier. The tiers are set over here on the left. And the first 5 by default are considered within the top 25 in the fantasy points for that position, and then followed by the top 50 for the next 5, the bottom 50, and then the bottom 25. And you can change these if you think that, let's say in the 8th round, you think you're pulling a top 25 in there, and you wanna set that. You can set that here. I'll show you in a few cases where this might apply. But it uses the fantasy points for that position based on the tiers. It also uses the standard deviation based on the position. And if you think these are slightly off, you're free to change those right here within the tool. And then the percentage injury and the average games missed is also shown here. So quarterbacks, this tool has a calculation of 2.78% chance per game that a quarterback is going to get injured, and when they do, on average, they're missing about 1.42 games. And the wide receivers are at about 4.4% injury per game. They'll miss a game, almost a game and a half, and on down the line it goes. If you think these percentages are slightly off, or you think the number of games are slightly off, you can go ahead and change them and run the tool down here and run model to see if it's gonna, or how much it's gonna change the results for yourself here. But what I want to show you are some really cool things about this tool, and they become especially interesting down here later on when, for example, let's say you're talking about 14, 15, 16, or even on down the line through the 20th pick. Sometimes you're not quite sure. Maybe I should have thrown a wide receiver in there. Maybe I should have thrown a running back. Or maybe it's a tight end that I want to pick. But you're having that hard time guessing. Well, this takes the guesswork out because it's going to run the model. It's going to run the simulator against it. You're going to run thousands of seasons across many thousands of games to try to smooth out any of those questions that you might have for yourself. So what we've got here, let's take a look at the draft board and see what most people are picking up here. And so far what we've got it's a pretty good spread across the running backs and the wide receivers. But as it comes back around to me, this strategy's got me picking two more running backs. So what I'm going to do is, when it comes back around to me, they still should be in top tier running backs for me, which is gonna really help me out on my running game with this setup I've got. Looks like somebody's taken an early tight end, so it looks like they might be going for a power tight end strategy there. And on down the line it's going for the moment. And let me see what's happening here. So just for fun, for example, what I could do, since I've got a little time, I could say, well, if one of these top wide receivers are still here, what would happen based on this strategy if I were to change it to, say, do an early wide receiver and do a slightly later running back over here, and then let's see what happens when I try to run this model based on that. So it still comes out about the same, just swapping those two out. It is a very slightly higher jump that way, but I think I'm going to stick with this running back strategy anyway, which is my power running back. So I'm looking for 3 running backs up front here. And after it goes through my pick, I'll play around with some of these numbers or these position picks in a minute and see where it's going to end up for me. All right, so I'm going to take my two running backs now, and I'm going to take them immediately here, and I'm going to skip over our solid wide receiver here for going for my strategy. and see where this ends up taking me. Take a look at the draft board here and see where we're at. All right, we got some early quarterbacks coming in already. Looks like these guys are going for the power quarterback strategy early on. So now that I've picked my 3 solid running backs, I'm going to wait quite a few rounds now. I won't pick another running back until I hit to round 10. But what I've got to look forward to now is getting my wide receivers set up, and hopefully we'll be able to pull a pretty solid quarterback out of this. And hopefully, the thing I like about doing it this way is you can potentially get a good stack here. If I can find a quarterback that is within the top 25 or top 50 tier that stacks with one of these 3, that's going to be pretty solid choice. So let's just play around with the model while we've got a little time here. So let's say, for example, that you think that either you've picked a running back that might have a pretty high chance of getting an injury. So let's say I'm gonna say that let's just double the injury here. So this original one here is 4.11% chance. Let's double it to about 8. Well, we'll double it exactly, 8.22. And then we'll run the model, and let's see how badly this affects our model here. So right now we're going for this original one that I fired up, 2,200 points for the entire year on average, running 10,000 goes at it. So as you can see here, increasing the running back to 8.22% injury, doubling it. Look how it's dropped me about 30 points for the season. On average, it drops me about 2 points per game based on these injuries. So if you've got the injuries set up pretty well, or even the number of games. So let's say you don't believe that it's about a game and a half that they lose that they end up missing, but it's a game and it's 3 games. Same idea. We can run the model and see what happens, and you can see it has also a negative effect, slightly less of a negative effect than the original change that I had with the percent injury, but it still has an effect. So all these settings you can change. If you think your top tier quarterbacks are worth a little bit more than this, you can change those values here. If you think your top tier tight ends are pulling more than 12.68 per game on average, or at least the ones that you've picked, then you're free to change those values here and run the model and see if you can get a solid running of these numbers to make your choices. And the standard deviation, the way that's set up here is it will allow the simulator to run simulations based on the statistical model of what happens out there in the game setting, which says that quarterbacks have a standard deviation of about 4 points away from their average number that's around 22. The wide receivers have a standard deviation of 6 away from their 16.03 average fantasy points, and running backs are at 7, and tight ends they've got the most kind of jump between, they either have a really excellent day or they get a little bit blown out, so their standard deviation is a bit higher. And you can change these numbers too. You can if you want to get these up or down to another number, if you're not in agreement with them, you can change them and run the model and see what happens. So let's see what's coming around over here to me. So I'm going to come to my players now. I'm really looking for some wide receivers now. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pop the two highest wide receivers. And again, I've already got this sorted based on what I believe are the best lineups. These are not the default that DraftKings will give you. So let's see, as it's coming around here, I'm about 4 or 5 away, so it's coming close. Looks like I might be able to get more and Flowers possibly. McMillan, he's a bit of a risk as a free agent. He should go to a good team. Should be a first round wide receiver draft pick. I may take him if he's coming through there. I'm just gonna follow this strategy here and see where it goes for us. All right, let's see who's left over here. Yep, I think I'll take a Flowers here for my wide receiver. Pretty solid. And I think I'm gonna take. I've already got McMillan in another draft that I've done, so I think I'm just going to jump straight to Smith here and take him as my wide receiver. Probably McMillan will stick around. In my last few drafts that I've done, he's stuck around a little bit longer, so I might be able to pick him up down here at 9 or 12, around 9 or 12 if he's not taken yet. But let's see where it goes. So after this one, I'm gonna take a quarterback along with my double up here. So I need to take my wide receiver, get my third wide receiver, and then I'll take my quarterback. So using this tool, if you want, what you can do is you can just straight up use these strategies out of the box. You can see which strategy ends up getting the most points, 22-37 for what is considered a balanced strategy, kind of giving you 2 quarterbacks, 8 wide receivers, 7 running back, and 3 tight ends. We got the power tight ends where you take 2 to 3 tight ends very early on. You take the top ones, and that ends up giving you about a 21.59 for the season, about 127 points on average per game. Power running back, like I've said, that's the one that gives us the 22.80. Power quarterback, where you get one of the top quarterbacks. That's what some of these guys are doing over here. Somebody pulled Allen, somebody else pulled Jackson, Mahomes. Hurts went a little bit later than I expected this for this draft. That gives you 22.18 and an average of 130.52 per game. If you go with a late quarterback, we can see what happens there. So here you're not getting a quarterback until about the 8th round, and that's kind of what I'm doing with my running backs as well. I'm getting a pretty late quarterback there, but you're stacking the wide receivers here early on in the hopes that you can get your quarterback on the same team as one of your wide receivers there. Gives you an average of about 2,200 and 129.53 per game. The late tight end. So this is where you don't pick tight ends until the very end over here. So basically you're getting the bottom guys, but it's quite surprising. The risk is a little less than you might think. It comes out to be about 22.20 per season and about 130.69 average per game. And then there's the late running back where you pull all your wide receivers and quarterbacks early on. You better hope you're stacking pretty well over here, and then you grab your running backs later on, and that gives you about a 21.52 per season at 126.63 average per game. And then the custom. So if you just want to change any of these things around, if you want to take a early wide receiver, an early running back, an early tight end, and then let's say you just keep repeating that until you finally get your first quarterback in the 7th round, and then we'll just keep cascading this along, see how well, just for fun, we'll see how well this goes. I guess we probably need another quarterback earlier on there if we're going to do that. So we're going to take two about midpoint quarterbacks there. And I think taking 4 tight ends is quite a bit. So now we'll just cascade between running backs and wide receivers. And you can run the model and see what kind of values you get. So setting up on this one, you get 22.12, which is pretty similar to another one that we saw earlier on. Which one was it? I think that was an early. Okay, this is about the late tight end or the power quarterback kind of thing. So this one models about the same thing. Now, if by chance you think that the quarterback you got was a top 25, even though it happened to be later, but you believe it was a top 25, you can change that value here for its tier. And same goes, like, let's say you happen to pick up a wide receiver that was missed, or somebody or all the other people had miscalculated what you think it is, and you believe it's a top 25, then you can also set that down here. Or if by chance you think you got a really hot tight end, you can, this is down at the bottom 25, but you think you got a really great tight end, you can set it as a top 25 and then rerun the model, and you'll see your values just jumped up. So if you're able to find good value later on, this tool will help you get you set up that way. So let me go back to my power running back. I'm coming back around my turn, and we are on the 6th round here, it says. So 6th round, it says I should take a wide receiver and my first quarterback. So let's take a look over here and see what we've got for quarterbacks going on. So I can see if I can stack. So we've got Murray, Purdy, Goff. So we're talking Detroit, San Fran, or Arizona. And I think what I can do is I can grab Jennings. I should be able to grab Jennings here, or I could try to grab Pickens. I'd really like to stack Let me see if Purdy sticks around. So yeah, it looks like Purdy's going to stick around. So and looks like, what did I lose? Yeah, I lost Jennings. That's unfortunate. So that means, let's see, a little hard to stack here, but I could try dropping down a little in value here, but that's all right because I'm going to stack my quarterback with it. So now what you can see is at least I've got a little bit of a stack going on here with my quarterback and wide receiver. But I've followed this model pretty well. Purdy, I'd say Purdy's, yeah. We'll call him a top 50 for the quarterbacks. Not quite in the top 25, but still in the top 50. And Ayuk, yeah, top 50. We'll call him a top 50. Keep it there. And let me get these lined up properly the way they were before too. So this is called down here is going to be a bottom. So I'm pretty much sticking to the routine here, and if somebody's able to pick up a really solid hidden gem in there, they're gonna have a good chance to pop ahead. But as you could see during the lineup that I had, it didn't really look like I could pick out any one of those. But hopefully with this tool, you'll be able to find those and see if it's gonna pump your lineup. So everything that I do now, changing anything around, I should not change anything such that it drops me below my 2280 or the average of 134 per game. So now we'll just wait till this comes back around to me. As it does, I'm going to finally start grabbing my first tight end here. All right, so as it's coming back around to me, let's see. My strategy is for round 8, I'm going to finally grab my tight end, and I'm going to grab another wide receiver since they're a little bit weak on my current lineup here. So let's see. So tight end and a wide receiver. Oh, the tight ends are getting a little bit far down. Not a bad lineup though there. Not a bad lineup. I will go for this, and now I'll grab a good wide receiver here for myself. Who do we want to take? Yeah, what do we do? What do we do? Yeah, I'll trust myself here and just go with the lineup I have set up. So once we start crossing into maybe after we get our next tight end, I'll really start playing around with some of these other lineups on the wide receivers. As what you'll see is that there may be a lot more, or a few more running backs that are ranked a little higher than the wide receivers, and what would it be better for me to do? So as we're coming around to like 14 here, we're not there yet, we're only at 9, but once we come down to 14, what if I were to change it a little bit here and go to 2 more running backs instead of the wide receivers there? And we can see that what happens is we're actually dropping it a little bit. So it would be best if I stuck to my wide receivers, just like this thing's saying. So I need to stick around 2280 in order for it to be in the zone. All right, so as we're coming around here, let's see, we're on the 10th and 11th, so I need a running back and a quarterback. So what do we got going on for our running backs here? Yeah, we got a lot of wide receivers showing up, and let's see what we got here. I'll go along with my own rankings here. I'll pull this Bigsby for my running back, and then I'm gonna go for my quarterback now. Who do we got here? All right, I'll go with New England here. I'll go with it. So now as we come around, this will be interesting. So let's watch how to use this tool when we come back around for our 12 and 13 picks. So as you can see, we're now in the bottom 50% for the fantasy point scoring players. So now we can start playing around with this to see if there is a really solid tight end that is available, or a really solid running back. I guess in this case, the example would best describe the really solid running back rather than a wide receiver. I could come in here quickly, change it to a running back instead of the wide receiver, and see if I can get over the 2280. And it just drops it slightly. So even if it's a slightly better running back, it's still better statistically based on injury probability, fantasy points, and the standard deviation. It's still best in this case in the 12th and 13th pick for me to go at least with the wide receiver rather than the running back. And let's see if the same thing applies with a tight end over here. So if I were to pick if it were between a running back and a tight end, if I were to pick the running back, let's see how that lays out, and it drops it even more. Let's say even if I go get another bottom 25 tight end, does that bring me back up to 2280? And no, it doesn't. So sticking around with this power running back lineup, looks like so far sticking with the way it's got it set up with the wide receiver for 12 and the tight end at 13 is our best bet. So this helps take a lot of that guesswork out of where when you're tearing yourself apart trying to pick between a solid running back or a solid tight end. This statistically this will help you through that. So I just put us back up to the 2280 by leaving this as is. All right, so as it's coming back around here, let's see, double check, round 12 here has me picking the wide receiver and the tight end. Let's start taking a look over here. Let's just take a peek. We got New England and San Fran for our quarterback, so just in case we happen to have a wide receiver in that space or not. so I will take the risk and go with Harris as my wide receiver here. Free agent, little free agent action. And then for my tight end, let's make sure we're getting the top tight end. And, ooh, do I risk it with another free agent? I don't know. I think I'm just going to go, I think I'm just going to go safe here. So as we come back around, we'll be at 14 and 15, which is a couple of wide receivers. And what I'll do when as it starts coming around, I'll see if swapping these over into running backs, if I have running backs that are pretty closely lined up with these wide receivers, maybe I'll try to swap one out. Otherwise, I'll just straight up leave them as wide receivers there. All right, so let's see as it's coming back around here. What do I need to do? 14 and 15. I need to get some wide receivers. We've got some running backs that are in the running that are a little bit better. So let's just see what happens if I take a running back. Do I get over? No, I don't. I'm still better off taking a wide receiver here. What happens if I go with another tight end? Do I get a little higher? I actually do. So maybe what I want to do this round is grab a solid tight end instead. And why don't I do that? So I am changing slightly from what it was saying. I think I'm going to take a tight end. I think I'll take Henry. And then I'll take another wide receiver here. So how about we pull, looks like Pierce, Coker, we don't really have any San Fran, or what's our other quarterback? Purdy, San Fran in New England, so it looks like our best bet is to take Pierce. Okay, as we're coming back around now, let's see the model says what I need to do for rounds 16 and 17. I need to pull a tight end and a quarterback. So let's see what we got for ourselves coming up. We got a bunch of running backs coming up. We got a quarterback here. And let's see what we got for tight ends. All right. I can do these. Should I risk a free agent or go straight for Sanders? Interesting. Let's see how it goes. Let's see. All right. So I need a tight end. I think I'm going to go with the safer bet than the free agent. And then I'm going to take a quarterback. I'm going to take Carr. Pretty decent. Not a bad late QB, I think. See where we're at now. Okay. So now when we come back around, what it's saying is I need to be pulling 3 wide receivers straight up. So let's just play with this in advance here while we're going. See what happens. Let me try running back instead if they're lined up pretty good. I don't know if that hit. Yeah. So that's very slightly smaller. So really depends on if there's just no wide receivers left, then maybe that's an option. But if I go with another tight end, I'm only allowed to take 5 tops tight ends. So let's see what happens. It jumps us up to 2303. So that might be a better option than our wide receivers down there. And that means that might be our best bet. So all these others are in the same ranking, so it looks like the best idea for me to do is to grab yet another tight end, and we'll see how this goes according to the model. So grab 2 wide receivers and tight end. Or what happens if I were to change these to running backs? Yeah, pretty close, pretty close. So I think what it's going to come down to is it'll depend on the lineup of players that we have here at the end. And if we've got a lot of running backs sitting on top before any of these wide receivers, then maybe it's a better idea to start, according to the model and the simulator, maybe it's a better idea to pick up a couple of those running backs, or at least one running back if it's stacked a little higher with the running backs. But if it's got the wide receivers up there, then I'll just pull those, even if they are free agent. Might be worth it. Might be worth the risk. Might be worth it. We'll see. We'll see when it comes around. So got a little ways to go. All right, as we're coming around here, let's see what we've got. I'm gonna grab, I had slightly changed the model a little bit. It says to pull a tight end. Let's see if there's any that are any good over here. Do I go with a free agent or do I go with Gray? I may just go with Gray. Yeah, I'm not going to risk a free agent, although, oh, that's a really great choice too. It's a really great choice. I think I'll go with Gray here for my tight end, and then now I need to grab myself a wide receiver, or I could take a running back. I think my wide receiver, since it's pretty close, bunch of free agents, I think it's worth the risk. I think it's worth the risk going with a free agent here. And then coming around to the last pick, and we'll see if it should be a wide receiver or a running back according to the model. Let's see. So it's 2303 if I take a running back, and it is, whoops, high 2303. Let me run it again there. 2304 for wide receiver. So in theory, I should grab myself a wide receiver as the last player, and we'll see how it goes there when it comes around. Okay, as we're coming around to the last pick, let's see what we've got. So the model says I need to favor a wide receiver, but if there's a hot running back, I'm definitely going to take him because it's just slightly thin. So looks like just a bunch of free agents at the top there. And boy, what do I do? What do I do? I may go with the safe bet, and may take Wilson. These free agents in these early drafts are a little risky. I've already taken a couple, and since I'm supposed to favor a running back over since I'm supposed to favor a wide receiver over a running back here, I think I'm just going to take Wilson here, and we're done with this draft. So I'll stay on the draft and take a look at the board here. So I should have 3 quarterbacks, 4 running backs, 8 wide receivers, and 5 tight ends, and that's exactly what I've got up here at the top. The order of the wide receiver and running backs is swapped, but the numbers are correct there. And according to this model, I should be covering about 2,300 points for this season, and I should be averaging about 135 points per game with my lineup. So I hope that this tool is useful for you, and I hope that you can find a lot of value in it. And again, to find it, you go to yourteamstats.com, and it's right here under NFL Best Ball Sim, and you should be able to go ahead straight up use it. It's all free. You can play around with it, change some of these numbers if you don't agree with them or you think they should be changed a little bit. You can be either more conservative, you can be more aggressive, and try to get this model working for you. And I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you got a lot out of this. And good luck with all your NFL best ball lineups, and may this tool take you to the win.